We are the protectors of this place from gangs like MS and, above all, police officers. Man, just think about that for a second. That is a direct word-for-word quote from an active Barrio 18 gang member currently patrolling the streets of Honduras. It's a chilling paradox, right? The very people enforcing terror and violence out there actually view themselves as the ultimate shield for their community. It absolutely sets the highest of stakes for what we're going to unpack today.
Welcome back to The Explainer, focused learners. Today, we're going to objectively dissect the really complex, incredibly dangerous ecosystem of Honduran gang violence. We're looking at the city of San Pedro Sula through a complete 360-degree lens. And, to truly grasp this crisis, we aren't just relying on outside opinions. No way. We're using first-hand accounts directly from the front lines. We're talking the police, journalists, everyday civilians, and yes, the gang members themselves.
Okay, Section 1. The front lines of San Pedro Sula, beauty and bullets. Let's dive in.
So, Honduras. It's a country known for its striking natural beauty and really warm, resilient people. But here on the front lines, reality hits incredibly hard. This is actually one of the world's highest homicide nations. Daily life is literally punctuated by gunfire, bodies found in vacant lots, and massive police saturation operations. They've deployed highly armed special forces and traffic units as the main line of defense, which honestly makes the officers themselves constant targets for assassination. Now, the police state that overall homicides have technically dropped by 20%. But look at this massive number, 21. There have already been 21 high-impact massacres this year alone, leaving dozens of victims dead. So while a macro-level graph might show a downward curve, the sheer shock, terror, and frequency of these mass casualty events, it means the streets feel just as dangerous for everyday citizens.
To try and combat this constant violence, officers like Deputy Inspector Lorenzo are relentlessly raiding local beer parlors, which they call cantinas. But these aren't just your typical places to grab a quick drink. They actually double as informal underworld hubs. The gangs use these cantinas as centralized meeting points, and they run vast extortion networks right out of them. During these intense raids, police are frequently flushing out fugitives, recovering unlicensed weapons and contraband, and basically trying to disrupt small-scale drug operations right at the source.
Moving on to Section 2, Origins of the Gang Crisis. How did we get here?
To really grasp this 360-degree reality of San Pedro Sula, we can't just look at today's police raids, right? We have to look at the structural roots. And for that, we're turning to the expertise of veteran journalist Hector Montoya. That number, 33, that represents his 33 years of covering crime, political corruption, and violence on the ground. This guy has been reaching crime scenes before the sirens even fade for over 3 decades. Montoya gives us the exact historical prism we need, mostly because he was reporting on Honduras before the gangs even existed, back when kidnapping was the primary focus of law enforcement. So Montoya walks us through this absolutely fascinating timeline. The violence actually traces its roots thousands of miles away, to the streets of Los Angeles in the 1980s, driven by aggressive U.S. deportation policies, where undocumented immigrants and individuals with criminal records were sent back. These entire gang cultures were basically imported to Honduras. Between 1992 and 1993, they started emerging in local neighborhoods. Now, at first, they actually acted as neighborhood watchdogs, claiming to provide security and charging locals for weapons. But look at the present day. They mutated. They became massive, organized crime syndicates, acting as the heavily armed wings for drug cartels. And this mutated landscape, it's completely dominated by a bitter rivalry between two main antagonistic groups. First up, MS-13. They trace their roots to Salvadoran immigrants in LA and are known for adopting a highly violent culture of absolute brutality. Then you have Barrio 18, originating from 18th Street, which very quickly scaled into one of the most highly organized structures in the entire region. The all-out war over territory between just these two groups has generated relentless violence and, frankly, turned Honduran society completely upside down. All right, Section 3, caught in the crossfire, the civilian toll. Honestly, navigating daily life in San Pedro Sula is basically an extreme sport. The government might pass the laws, sure, but the gangs, they dictate the reality through their own unwritten rules. For everyday people, survival means knowing exactly what colors not to wear, just so you aren't fatally mistaken for a rival gang member. It means knowing exactly which street corners to avoid and calculating the absolute safest route to the market. And above all else, it requires absolute silence. People rarely cooperate with authorities because simply being seen talking to the police marks you as an informant. And in these neighborhoods, that label carries a swift death sentence.
Just take the story of Alexander, a young entrepreneur who's just trying to make a living by baking and selling corn. His quote really says it all. "I had to work wearing long-sleeve shirts because of my tattoos so they wouldn't see me as something else." Alexander chased the American dream, was deported, spent some time in prison, and now he faces extreme discrimination back home. I mean, even in the sweltering heat of a construction site, he covers his arms because society automatically assumes any young man with tattoos is a thief or a gang member. He's really trying to survive legitimately, but he is just weighed down by a severe lack of opportunities.
And this brilliantly illustrates the unimaginable emotional toll on the community. Listen to this incredible quote from Esther, a grieving mother. She says, "I am actually looking for that man to hug and ask him for forgiveness. I am not the judge." Esther's 20-year-old son was beaten and shot twice in the head by his so-called friends, members of the MS gang. He actually fought for his life for 3 days before passing away. Yet, rather than seeking police intervention or some kind of bloody vengeance, Esther relies entirely on her deeply rooted faith. She is actively seeking out the very people who murdered her son to forgive them. It is an astonishing choice, and it really highlights how sheer faith is often the only way people here can cope.
That brings us to Section 4, Resilience Amidst the Chaos, a Complex Ecosystem.
Now, it's important to remember this isn't just a two-dimensional story of violence and despair. The real pushback against this insecurity, it's coming from the grassroots level. It starts right in the home with strong family upbringing and deep religious faith. We see some truly incredible work from figures like Pastor Douglas Rodriguez, who's been leading church-based outreach in maximum security prisons for 17 years. And what's truly remarkable here is that his church actually provides housing for former Barrio 18 members by offering them safe community service jobs, like building, cleaning, and painting the church. He provides a genuine structural alternative for active gang members to rebuild their lives far away from the crossfire.
But we have to immediately contrast that rehabilitation effort with the sobering reality of the guys still inside the gang. Remember that active Barrio 18 member we met at the very start? Listen to this quote from him. "When I had nothing, the gang gave me everything. Prison or death, or hospital, I'm ready for anything." Despite all the church's efforts, for a lot of marginalized youth, the gang still provides a profound sense of family, provision, and identity. This young man sells drugs and performs hits, yet he unwaveringly views his violent life as a necessary community service. He's fiercely loyal and, quite literally, entirely willing to die for his territory. Which leaves us with this massive, really provocative thought to ponder. If the gangs genuinely believe they are the true protectors of their neighborhoods, and if the community feels they must rely on sheer faith and grassroots forgiveness just to survive the daily crossfire, what will it actually take to break this deep-rooted cycle of violence? It's a wildly complex reality where the lines between protector and predator blur every single day. Take a moment to just sit with that. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, Focused Learners. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.